So I wanted to ask you about a common theme that comes up very often, and that is with a stucco home, whether the seller should repair or replace portions of the failed stucco or just completely remediate. What can you tell us about the pros and cons of a repair versus replacement?
Great, Gary. It's a great question. It comes up all the time. We're constantly following in behind these repairs to confirm whether or not they actually did what they were supposed to do. A lot of people are going to be asking questions about how that repair was done, what's the warranty on that repair, how do I have any confidence that I'm not going to be the guy having to fix this again in a few years. Unfortunately, there's a lot of money to be saved in doing less than a full wall assembly. And it's tempting to take that savings and say that I'm going to do that because it's not my house anymore, I'm not living here, so I don't really care how good the repair is, I just want to be done with it. The problem with that is, as I said, it comes under a lot of scrutiny, and when that happens, oftentimes the buyers are not satisfied with that type of repair. And well in excess of half of the time we come back and we find that the failure has already occurred again in the system. So they've just spent many thousands of dollars, which would seem cheap at the time, but the problem exists again. In some cases it's worse. It's very difficult to take old work and new work and tie them together, most particularly if they're not pulling the windows out and flashing them and they're not integrating the old work and the new work properly, because everything has to be installed like a shingle. Then we'll get more problems than we had when they started the project. So we do not endorse partial repairs. A proper repair of stucco is going to take the entire wall up, not necessarily the entire house, but that wall that's impacted needs to be stripped all the way to the corners, all the way from the roof to the foundation. The windows need to be pulled and reflashed, and then you can put back on whatever siding material you like. If you're doing only one or two walls, generally speaking, you're going to be going back with stucco because it's going to look like a patchwork quilt.
I know that oftentimes sellers have said to me, well, it's only this small section that tested high, we'll just get that section done and we'll fix that section. But what I'm hearing long term is, and what you're saying is, that's really not an adequate fix.
And there's not a week that goes by that we don't see somebody wasted $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 doing a patch repair instead of spending what they needed to spend to do it correctly. And we see this over and over again. I'm involved in several cases. I'm one in particular where the person spent $60,000 to patch repair it.
Right.
We came back in about 6 months after the repair. There's problems behind the stucco. There's moisture. As you said, it doesn't look great. And they're now looking at $115,000 to $120,000 to take the stucco off and do it correctly. Most of the time, if you've got a lot of problems on the house, we're with you on the fact, just take the stucco off, go back with vinyl or with a cement board such as a James Hardie. Years ago, you'd have hit me for saying that somebody should put vinyl on their house, but I gotta tell you that vinyl doesn't draw a lot of energy. Everybody's pretty excited about the fact that there's less stucco and more vinyl. Hardie is a much nicer finish maybe than vinyl, but a good proper vinyl job is actually a really good look, and we see it on multi-million-dollar houses now where you would have never seen that years ago.